Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Wealth Defense Radio, the podcast. I am your host, Josh Inahosa, and I'm an independent advisor representative for SWAN DFW, which stands for Sleep Well at Night, Dallas, Fort Worth.
What a great name.
It is a great name.
Who came up with that?
The world may never know. And I am here with the man who loves to cut off intros and ad reads. It is Hector Inahosa.
Good morning.
Hector is a certified financial planner, which is the top mark in our industry. He started SWAN DFW a little over 11 years ago as we're recording this.
Yeah.
And he came up with the name.
That's right.
Well, really the
clients did.
Yeah.
I asked them what they wanted me to do, and they said, well, we're never going to get rich. We just want to sleep well at night. So here we are. 11 years and 2 months later.
Yes. So, what are we doing today?
Well, what we thought we would do is we know that there's a lot of people out there that are in the market or beginning to think about working with a financial planner. And we greatly advise that you do, obviously. But there are many more people that don't work with financial planners, and so we thought today we would talk about why most people don't, and maybe some things to think about as to why they should. So,
yeah, I think we've broken it down into three
kind of big categories.
Categories, and we're going to go through each one.
Yep.
If you're listening on Spotify, leave us a good rating, a review. If you're listening on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, send it to a friend. If you're on Facebook, maybe share it. If you think this would be helpful for people to hear, your friends. And
especially if you're already a client of ours, maybe this will be a good one for your friends, but also for your kids. And so it's never too early to at least start talking about and seeing what we do and how we do it. So yeah, please share this.
Yep. So let's get into it.
All right.
The first kind of blanket reason that we've identified that people may not like to work with financial planners is kind of cultural stuff.
Yeah.
Culture, or maybe some age, stage of life.
Yeah. Most of us, whether we like it or not, are going to do pretty much what our parents did. And if they worked with a financial planner, that's normal for us. And so we will either work with that planner or somebody in that office, or at least have a relationship with somebody. But if the parents in front of us and grandparents in front of us never did that, then that's a kind of a cultural break. That's a something different. And it's a little bit scary when you start thinking about doing something different than your parents did. And sometimes we go to our parents, which is a good thing, and our parents might say something like, well, I never used one and I'm okay. And so that, and that may be very, very true. But so sometimes it's just a different way of doing things. And then, if you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s, maybe you're not ready, although I seem to get more calls from them. We have several of them in our book, and they're excited to learn, and they want to know what to read, and they want to understand some of the things we do, and which is really, really good. That's the deal, is it's never too early to really kind of start.
Yeah, and I think some people, specifically my age and like mid-20s, think that sometimes it is too early to start. You don't need to start thinking about it till you're 40 or 50 or 60.
Yeah. And then you know what happens when you become 40, 50, or 60? You think, dang, I wish I'd have started when I was 20, 30, or 40. Ask people that have done that. But you're absolutely right. At mid-20s, most of us are thinking about, what game are we going to watch this weekend? What girl am I going to ask out? Some of us are still in school. Some of us are starting our careers. And so we think about, man, especially males, retirement is so far away. And as males, there's some things we know in our mid-20s and 30s is we're never going to get old, we're never going to get sick, and we're never going to die. So there's no reason to plan for any of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
the next thing we've kind of identified is a lack of trust in financial planners, lack of trust in a financial plan. They don't want to get locked into a financial plan. Maybe they had a negative experience with a financial planner. Maybe their parents did. Just kind of don't trust the process of having a financial plan or working with somebody.
Yeah, and very frankly, our industry kind of has earned that. Sometimes we've had people, planners, not usually security-based people, but sometimes, yes, that have taken advantage of people. And the sad part is that when something like that does happen, it gets a lot of press. And so while there may be only 1 or 2% of planners that are not doing the very best and don't have the client's best interest at heart, it's those stories that get the press, and they're on the radio and they're on the TV, and people say, see, that's why I'm never going to trust anybody but me with my money. And so, yeah, sadly, 98% of the industry does try real hard to do the right thing and do what's best for the client. But yeah, and so my suggestion is go interview a planner, make sure that they talk the language you do, make sure you can communicate with them, make sure sometimes by talking to somebody, this is somebody I can work with, this is somebody I can trust. And obviously there's some things that you want to make sure that they have. You have to be licensed. Preferably you have a mark like a certified financial planner mark, which some of us think is the best mark in the industry, just because it's so hard to get. It shows a commitment to what we do, but it's that communication. What you need to understand, especially with our firm, I don't know about other firms, is if you come in and you test drive us and there's no exit fees, there's no surrender charges. If you do this for 2 or 3 years and you go, man, everything you told me you're going to do, you're not doing, you don't call me back, you don't, we hate you, we want to get out, you're happy to move your money wherever you need it moved. Most of the people that come over stay with us for a long time. But we understand it's a process. You want to get to know us before, we take a long-term relationship. So,
yeah, and I think it's worth noting too, back to like the news thing, you never hear on the news, oh yeah, Bob retired without a hitch. His relationship to his planner was great and a positive thing. That's not something you ever hear on the news. Normally it's
no. If it bleeds,
bad news.
Yeah. If it bleeds, it leads, is what they say. And and so for all the people that are successful, and that's why I'm really proud. We're really proud that something like 90% of our business is referral business. So we want our clients to continue, and hopefully they can use this podcast as a way of introducing us to maybe their friends, fellow workers, and like I say, even their kids or maybe their nephews and nieces and stuff that may need to have a way of thinking of things. As I say, paradigm. That's such an old word anymore. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you talk us through this last point? Kind of group together the last reason that people don't like to work with advisors is like cost concerns, or they think they can do it better themselves. Yeah. It's not necessarily worth the cost or the trouble of trying to communicate with a professional.
Yeah.
So we kind of grouped all those together. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah. The first one is, we always think we can do something cheaper ourselves. And maybe, changing a tire or changing the oil, and that's okay. But you get into more complicated things, and you have to take into account the amount of time that you're having to spend to do the work on top of the risk that you're taking. One of the things for do-it-yourselfers is once you retire yourself, if you do it yourself, mm-hmm. you will have learned a lot.
Yeah.
And if you had a second retirement, you'd be awesome at it. Mm-hmm. The problem is we don't get a second retirement. So with working with a firm that retires several people a year, we've kind of worked through all of the things that people say, oh yeah, I should have done that. We already know before we started our firm. I've been in the business since 1995. I already had a really good understanding of what to do and, more importantly, what not to do. Once you do something once, you're going to do it better the second time, but you don't get a second chance at retirement. It's one and done. And do-it-yourselfers, and again, I don't knock it. because I understand the mentality. And one of the things our firm does, if you look at our website, is we have three kinds of people. We have the kind of people that say, hey, all I want is a financial plan. We'll pay for the plan, and I never want to see you again. We have a few of those. And then we have the one who says, I want you to do everything for us. And that's the majority of our people. But we have some people that we're partners with them. They have a lot of input on especially what kind of securities and stuff like that. But one of the things a financial plan does is it talks about everything. Most people think financial planning is a stockbroker. Mm-hmm. What stocks am I going to put in my portfolio? And that's a part of it, and you need to be real careful with it. But it's not all of it. And now we do all the traditional research. With the technical research, we try to see how the charts are doing. We try to see how this thing is, particular security has performed. We want to see what other people are saying about that, and all of that is important before we make a decision on a security. But we just partnered with a firm that works with large international conglomerate firms, and they're giving us a really good forward picture of what their artificial intelligence is telling them. So the same thing that some of the bigger firms are using, we're one of their betas to see how it works, and we're excited about that. So you compare what looking forward looks like, plus all the technical stuff and research that we've done in the past, and we think we've got even a better model. I've done really well, is another thing I hear. Look at the amount of money I have amassed. Look at my 401k and So in June, I'm going to go climb a mountain, hopefully, God willing, Mount Kilimanjaro. One of the things about mountain climbing that I learned a long time ago, and it's not Kilimanjaro, but Mount Everest, something like 70 to 80% of the people that die trying to climb that mountain die on the way down. And the reason that is the reason we use that stat a lot, is that because all of the planning was to get to the top of the mountain. Very little of the afterthought is getting back down the mountain. That's very similar to when we're saving money in our 401ks. Good investments, staying in just in the S&P 500, you have a really nice big thing. But now you're going to start spending that money. You're going to spend that money in markets that go up and down. So you have a risk as you're taking that money. And if you're taking more money than what your portfolio is earning, a lot more money, most of us take more money than it's earning anyway, you risk getting to zero. And that's the big thing here, is we want to make sure you never outlive your money. There's a lot of reasons to do it yourself stuff. This is an important one. And if it's you that's doing it and something happens in your family, and I'm thinking mostly of males, but it could be females, something happens to you that you can't do it anymore because of maybe a stroke or a car accident or whatever, or you die, that leaves your family exposed because they don't have a plan, in place to keep going. But the biggest one is always, if I don't pay them a fee, I'll have more money when it's all said and done. Mm-hmm. Heard that before, yeah?
Yeah.
And what is the statistic that we came up with last time from one of our research firms?
So according to the Journal of Retirement Study,
my favorite study of people,
Favorite journal.
Favorite journal.
It's up there. It's a top 5 journal maybe ever written.
Uh-huh.
People who work with a financial advisor tend to wind up with 15% more money at retirement post fees.
Yeah, and so you end up with more money. You have somebody who's licensed to do what they do. It would be like, could I perform my own surgery? Probably, maybe. It would hurt.
Yeah.
Or I could go pay somebody, and they're going to put me under, and they're going to go do it right. And they went to school for a long time to do that. So not only do you not have the stress of having to make those decisions every single day, but you end up with more money. And I think that's the key component that some people miss.
Yeah, I think that some people just don't understand maybe the value proposition of. So why don't you, in, we'll say 3 sentences or less.
Well, it'll be very long sentences.
There's a lot of semicolons, colons, hyphens.
Yes.
Give us just a value proposition for working with a professional.
Yeah.
Summarize everything you've talked about into a bite-sized chunk for people to take home.
The big thing is, talking about our firm, is we start with a plan. Nothing happens without a plan. We're going to make a decision long term about how the plan and if the plan is going to work. And before we even start, if the plan isn't going to work, we're going to make some changes now to make sure that you don't, as best we can, make sure you don't run out of money. And we go out to age 94 for females, 92 for males, and we want to make sure, and we grade it. And we grade it against 1,000 different market scenarios to see if this plan will work. That's the starting point. Mm-hmm. Inside of that plan, we have to make some assumptions. Well, a lot of assumptions are made, right? That you're going to stay healthy, you're going to keep working, you're going to keep getting raises, you're going to stay with your company, all of those things. Mm-hmm. What if one of those things doesn't happen? What if you're in a horrible car accident and you die? How's that going to impact your family? That's a life insurance question. How much do you need? Do you have too much? Do you have not enough? For most people, most do-it-yourselfers, the answer is you need more. But what if you have that terrible accident and you don't die, but you can't go to work? The assumption was always that you'd keep putting money in that 401k, and so that's the disability question. How much of that do you need? Is it available? Can you get it from your work? Do you need to get a private? Those are all part of a financial plan. And then what happens if at age 80 or 90 or 80, at some point, you develop a horrible disease like an Alzheimer's or Lou Gehrig's disease? How's that and your treatment and what your professionals are going to need to come in and take care of you, how's that going to impact? So all of that is a plan, but we haven't even started talking about portfolios. And that's the big one is, we have two ways you can pay us. One is, a flat 1% fee. The more you make, the more we make. That's awesome. If you have $1 million or more, you can also do a percentage of your gains. If you make a lot of money, we make a lot of money. But if you don't make any money, guess what? You don't pay us anything. A true partnership, and we try to do that with our partners when we're trying to. People come in and want to do something for us. We want somebody to take the risk with us. We're ready to take the risk with them. You're also working with a fiduciary. We don't want to risk our license, our business, our 11-year-old business, for not taking care of you. So that's our value prop. This is what we do for a living. We do it every single day. Yeah, come and test drive us and see what you think.
Yeah, so if you would like to talk to us about your financial plan, your retirement, or any other financial questions you may have, we have a couple different ways that you can contact us. The first way is via phone number, and that is 888-SWAN-DFW or 888-792-6339, and that will be in the description wherever it is you are watching or listening. And we have an email address if you would prefer written correspondence, and that is info@swandfw.net. That's info, like short for information, at swandfw.net. That will also be in the description wherever you are watching or listening.
Yeah, and please make sure you like us or adore us or copy us or share us. Any or all of those things.
Spoken like a man that truly understands what's happening behind
social
the scenes.
media. The more people hear of the minimal amount of risk and the kind of return they have working with a financial planner, I think the better off that family is going to be. Biased opinion? I think so. Untrue? I think not.
There you go. So, yep, if you adore us,
that's a very special button. It's not available to all people.
Yeah, you have to pay premium on Spotify, I guess.
That's more
give
than
us a call, give us an email. It's free.
Yeah, let's have a conversation, and let's see if we can't help you.
Yep. So, thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you all in the next one.
Yeah, thank you, and God bless.
The preceding content is informational only and based on information available when created. It is not an offer or solicitation, nor is it tax or legal advice. It does not consider your financial circumstances and objectives and may not be suitable for you.